The message came without warning. It did not appear on one screen, or 10, but on every channel, every satellite, and every network connected to Earth. It echoed in the skies above colonies, on orbital stations, and even in the dark mining tunnels of the moons. The words were not whispered, they were declared in the cold metallic voice of the Empire. Earth. You will surrender. You will bow to the Empire, or you will be destroyed. For a moment, silence followed. On Earth's surface, millions stared at the screens in disbelief. On Mars, workers froze, still holding tools in their hands. Even on the distant colonies, the voice reached them, leaving fear in its path. No one could pretend anymore. The Empire was here, and they wanted Earth. The ultimatum was clear. Earth had 7 days. 7 days to give up its freedom, to kneel, to hand over its resources, its fleets, and its people. If not, the skies would burn. Governments gathered in hidden chambers. Leaders argued. Some shouted that surrender was the only choice, that Earth's fleets were too small, too outdated. Others demanded resistance, reminding everyone that surrender meant slavery. The debate was fierce, but the fear was greater. The Empire's reputation was carved in blood across the stars. No world had resisted them and survived. Their fleets numbered in the thousands. Their weapons could level cities from orbit. Against that, Earth was a candle in the wind, but whispers spread. Not in the chambers of politicians, but in the quiet corners where soldiers met, where engineers worked, where old veterans drank in silence. A name was spoken, the Black Fleet. It was said to be a myth, a project abandoned long ago, a story told to inspire hope. Some believed Earth had once built something in the shadows, away from the eyes of the Empire. Warships black as the void, silent and unstoppable. Yet no one had ever seen them. No record proved their existence. Still, the name returned now like a spark in the dark. On the 3rd day, the Empire's fleet appeared on the edge of the solar system. Their warships glided into human space with the arrogance of predators. Dozens at first, then hundreds. Each ship was vast, bristling with weapons, their hulls reflecting the light of the sun. They did not hide. They wanted Earth to see. They wanted humanity to understand what was coming. News spread like fire. Civilians filled the streets in panic. Some tried to leave Earth, filling shuttles and freighters. Others prayed, calling out to gods who had not answered in centuries. And some simply watched the sky, waiting for the fire to fall. On the 6th day, the Empire sent one more message. Tomorrow, you kneel. Tomorrow you bow. If not, Earth will burn, and no one will remember your name. In the command halls of Earth's military, silence ruled. Maps of the system glowed on the walls, filled with red marks where the Empire's fleets now moved. Earth's admirals knew the truth. Their fleets could not match the Empire. Every calculation ended in defeat. Every plan ended in ruin, yet still the whispers continued. Have you heard? They say the Black Fleet is real. They say it waits in the shadows. They say it was built for this moment. On the final night, while fear gripped the planet, while the Empire prepared for victory, deep in the cold void beyond Neptune, something stirred. Hidden in darkness, far from the eyes of ordinary men, shadows began to move. Black metal shifted. Engines that had slept for years came alive. Silent hulls darker than space itself glided free. But Earth did not know. The Empire did not know. To both, tomorrow seemed already decided. When the sun rose on the 7th day, Earth faced its judgment. The silent gathering. The Empire's fleet moved closer with each hour. Their warships spread across the edges of the solar system, like hunters circling prey. Each vessel shone with sharp silver light, their banners glowing with the mark of the Empire. To the people of Earth, these ships looked like an endless wall of firepower, too many to count. The Empire wanted to be seen. They wanted Earth to feel small. Inside the Empire's command ship, their admiral watched the screens with a cold smile. Earth had not replied. No surrender had come. To him it meant only one thing, pride. The admiral knew pride well. He had crushed many worlds that believed they could stand against the Empire. In the end, they all bent or burned. Earth would be no different. But far from their eyes, in the dark regions beyond Neptune, something else was taking shape. The void was empty, silent, and endless. Yet if one looked closely, shadows began to stir. Hulls blacker than space itself glided into motion. They carried no lights, no signals. They made no sound. The stars behind them vanished as if swallowed by moving darkness. The Black Fleet was waking. For years it had remained hidden in silence, It had been built in secret, scattered across hidden stations, pieced together by hands that never spoke of their work. It was Earth's secret known only to a few, whispered only in shadows. And now, as the Empire's fleet crept nearer, the Black Fleet moved like predators rising from the deep. Each ship was shaped for war, angular and sharp, with surfaces that drank in the light. They did not reflect, they absorbed. To look upon them was to see emptiness given form. They had weapons unknown to the galaxy, engines silent as whispers, and armor that bent the very eye. They were not meant to be seen until it was too late. In the hidden control chamber, commanders of Earth's secret projects stood in silence. They had no banners, no speeches. They spoke only through short commands, their voices calm, though their eyes betrayed the weight of this moment. For years they had lived in the shadow of the Empire, preparing, building, hiding. Now their creation was awake. Across Earth, panic grew. Civilians filled shelters, hoping walls could save them from fire that would fall from the sky. In the streets, mothers held children, and fathers whispered promises they could not keep. Soldiers waited at their stations, hands trembling as they stared at screens filled with enemy signals. Yet still no one knew. No one knew of the shadows moving in silence beyond the reach of the sun. The Empire, confident and blind, continued forward. Their ships lit up human space like a second dawn, their engines glowing across the void. Messages poured across channels, arrogant and cruel. Bow now or be broken. You cannot stand. You are nothing before us. And then the first signal came. A lone Empire scout ship moving near Neptune caught something unusual. A flicker of darkness, a shape where no shape should be. It sent a report, but before the transmission was finished, the signal cut off. Silence followed. The scout ship was gone. The Empire dismissed it as an error. They had seen such things before. Sensors often failed at the edge of the system. But inside Earth's hidden chamber, the commanders saw the truth. The first move had been made. The shadows had taken the scout. The game had begun. More Empire scouts moved forward. One by one, their signals vanished. No explosions, no cries, no wreckage, only silence. The admirals grew restless. Reports piled up, each ending in the same emptiness. Ships sent to investigate found nothing but empty space. The Empire did not yet understand, but fear was already whispering in the minds of their captains. On Earth, the government still debated. Should they send a surrender? Should they beg for mercy? They did not know the choice had already been taken from them. Humanity had already answered. The Black Fleet was moving. In the deep dark, the ships of the Black Fleet gathered in silence. They formed a line, black against black, invisible except for the way they blotted out the stars. They did not rush. They did not fire. They simply moved, patient as hunters, waiting for the moment to strike. For the first time in history, the Empire was not alone in the void, and though they did not yet know it, they were being watched. The first strike, the Empire was restless. Reports of missing scouts spread across the command decks, and though their admirals dismissed it at first, doubt began to grow. These were not ordinary failures. Their ships did not explode. They did not leave wreckage. They simply vanished. No signals, no cries, no warnings, just silence. For the first time, the Empire's confidence cracked. The admiral in charge ordered more patrols. Larger vessels this time. Warships armed with cannons that could shatter moons. They spread out near Neptune, their sensors sweeping through the void. For long hours, nothing happened. The crews relaxed, mocking the earlier reports, calling them errors of frightened officers. But then a shadow moved. At first, they thought it was a trick of the eye, a patch of darkness where stars should be. But the darkness shifted, and the stars behind it vanished, swallowed whole. The crew shouted warnings. Weapons turned toward the black shape. Yet before a single shot could be fired, the warship's lights flickered and died. In an instant, the vessel was gone. Not destroyed in fire, not shattered into pieces. Gone as if it had been pulled into a mouth of silence. The other ships panicked, engines roaring, weapons firing blindly into the void. But their blast hit nothing. The shadow had already slipped away. Across the Empire's fleet, alarms screamed. Captains shouted, demanding answers. What enemy could erase ships so easily? What force could move unseen in the darkness? Fear spread like poison, seeping into the hearts of soldiers who had once believed themselves untouchable. And then, the Black Fleet revealed itself. From the darkness beyond Neptune, dozens of shapes emerged. They did not shine. They did not glow. They were black blades against the stars, moving in perfect silence, spreading like wings of night. The Empire watched in disbelief as the ships formed a line, a wall of shadow between Earth and its enemies. No message came, no demand, no warning. The first strike was sudden. Black beams of energy cut through space, invisible until the moment they struck. An Empire cruiser exploded, torn apart in seconds. Another was pierced straight through its core, its engines dying in silence before fire consumed it. In less than a minute, 3 warships were gone. The Empire fired back. Their cannons lit the void with brilliant arcs of destruction. Explosions thundered across the silence of space. Yet every shot missed. The Black Fleet moved with unnatural precision, shifting between blasts, sliding like shadows on water. No matter how the Empire aimed, they struck only empty void. Panic filled the enemy channels. Commands overlapped, captains shouted, crews screamed, but none of it mattered. The Black Fleet was faster, smarter, sharper. Their weapons cut through the Empire like knives through paper. On Earth, the people watched in disbelief. Their screens filled with images of the battle. For days they had waited for fire to fall on their cities. They had waited for the end. Now they saw something else, the Empire breaking. Their warships, once feared across the stars, were falling one after another. In the command chambers of the Empire, silence fell. Their admiral gripped the edge of his chair, his eyes locked on the screen. He had fought countless battles, crushed countless enemies, but never had he seen this. An enemy that gave no signal, no sound, no weakness. Ships that moved like living shadows, tearing through fleets with ease. It was not war. It was slaughter. The Black Fleet advanced. They did not rush. They did not chase. They moved with calm, with certainty, like predators who already knew the outcome. Every Empire ship that tried to flee was destroyed. Every formation that tried to regroup was torn apart. In 4 hours, an entire division of the Empire's fleet was gone. And still, no voice came from the Black Fleet. Not a single word. For the Empire, it was the first time they truly understood fear. For Earth, it was the first time they believed they might survive. But in the shadows of the command halls, Earth's secret leaders did not smile. They knew the truth. This was only the beginning. The Empire had not sent its full force. What was destroyed tonight was only a fraction of its power. The true storm was still coming. The question was no longer whether Earth could survive. The question was how far the Black Fleet was willing to go. The turning point, the Empire had never known shame. For centuries, their fleets had swept across the stars like fire across dry grass, burning everything in their path. No world had ever resisted them. No army had ever stood against them. But now, in the darkness of Earth's system, their ships lay broken. The first strike had been meant to crush Earth's spirit. Instead, it shattered the Empire's pride. News of the disaster reached the High Command within hours. On distant throne worlds, lords of the Empire raged. How could primitives destroy their fleets? How could shadows swallow ships that had ruled half the galaxy? It was unthinkable, unacceptable, and unforgivable. Reinforcements were sent, not dozens but hundreds, an armada large enough to drown Earth in fire. War drums echoed across their channels, promising vengeance, promising blood. When the new fleet arrived, the skies trembled. Their ships blotted out stars as they entered human space. They carried weapons vast enough to carve through continents. Their formation stretched for miles, a sea of steel and light. To the eyes of the people watching from Earth, it was hopeless again. Whatever victory had been won near Neptune seemed small against this storm. Yet the Black Fleet did not hide. They waited. In the silence beyond Saturn, they formed into lines of shadow. Their black hulls floated calmly, like hunters watching prey step into the trap. No banners, no signal, no roar of engines, only silence. The battle began without warning. The Empire fired first, unleashing storms of light that lit the void. Thousands of blasts filled the dark, each shot strong enough to tear through mountains. But when the light cleared, the Black Fleet was still there. Not destroyed, not even touched. Their armor drank in the fire, their movement slid between death itself. Then the shadows answered. Beams of black energy streaked out, silent and precise. Empire cruisers exploded in fireballs, their fragments scattering like dying stars. Carriers broke apart, spilling burning wreckage into the void. The Black Fleet split into 2 wings, folding around the Empire's armada like jaws closing on prey. Empire captains screamed orders. They tried to regroup, but the shadows had already cut through their lines. Every formation broke, every defense failed. The Empire's greatest strength, its size, turned into weakness. Their massive numbers clogged the void, blocking each other's paths, making them easy targets. For the first time in history, the Empire was not the predator. They were prey. Back on Earth, screens filled with the sight of burning wreckage. Entire households sat in silence, their faces pale as they watched the impossible unfold. Children clutched their parents, asking if it meant they were safe. No one could answer. No one dared. In the Empire's flagship, the Admiral roared with rage. He ordered ships to ram the shadows, to tear through them with sheer mass. Some obeyed. They hurled their great vessels forward, desperate to crush the enemy. But each time the Black Fleet slid away, answering with strikes that pierced the rammers before they could strike. It was like watching giants fall to ghosts. Within hours, half the armada was gone. The other half retreated, limping away with shattered hulls, their signals broken by static and screams. The Empire had sent fire to consume Earth, but they had met darkness instead. In the command chamber of the Black Fleet, silence reigned. The commanders did not celebrate. They did not cheer. They simply marked the fallen enemies, calculated the numbers, and prepared for the next wave. Their faces were hard, their eyes hollow. They knew this was not victory. It was only survival for now. For the first time, the galaxy trembled. Messages spread from system to system, whispering of Earth, whispering of a fleet that could not be seen, a fleet that destroyed the Empire. Worlds that had long lived in fear began to hope. Perhaps the Empire could bleed. Perhaps the Empire could fall, but with hope came dread. The Empire would not stop. Their pride had been wounded, their power challenged. And when an empire is wounded, it does not retreat forever. It comes back with greater fury. As Earth looked up at the night sky, they wondered what tomorrow would bring. Would the Black Fleet always stand in silence, protecting them? Or would the shadows go too far, pulling Earth into a war it could not escape? The answer waited in the darkness, where the Black Fleet drifted like silent judges of fate. The answer of humanity. The void grew silent after the battle. Wreckage drifted across the black, glowing faintly as fires burned out. Broken hulls, twisted metal, fragments of proud warships, all that remained of the Empire's mighty armada. From Earth, people stared at the night sky, knowing the battle had ended. For the first time in living memory, the Empire had not triumphed. They had been pushed back, broken, humiliated. The impossible had happened. And yet there was no celebration. Fear still gripped the world. No one understood what they had seen. No one knew where the Black Fleet had come from, or who commanded it. Ordinary people asked their leaders for answers, but the leaders had none. Whispers spread in streets and markets. Was it truly Earth's creation? Or something darker, something alien, hidden until now? The Empire demanded answers as well. From the ruins of their defeated fleets, signals were sent across the stars. They threatened, they roared, they demanded to know who dared strike them. Their words reached Earth again. Show yourselves. No world defies the Empire. No world survives defiance, but again, the Black Fleet gave no answer. The silence of those black ships was more terrifying than any threat. They hung in the void like watchers, unmoving, untouchable, their black hulls absorbing the light of stars. They did not boast of victory. They did not reveal their faces. They simply waited as if judgment had not yet been finished. Inside Earth's hidden chambers, the truth was known at last. The Black Fleet was not a myth. It had been built in secret years ago, when whispers of the Empire's reach had first spread through the stars. A plan formed in shadows. If Earth was ever threatened, it would not kneel. It would answer. The project had been hidden so deeply that even most of Earth's leaders had never known of it. Only a small circle of commanders, engineers, and soldiers had worked on it, living in silence, dedicating their lives to a future no one could promise would come. They had built ships not for exploration, not for defense, but for one single purpose: war against the Empire. Now their work had risen from the dark, and the galaxy trembled because of it. The Empire prepared once more. Across its countless worlds, new fleets were forged. They promised vengeance on a scale beyond imagination. The next wave would not be hundreds of ships, it would be thousands. Enough to turn every planet in the system to dust. Enough to erase Earth forever. But humanity had changed too. Where once there had been fear, there was now fire. Ordinary men and women who had once spoken of surrender now spoke of defiance. Children who had once wept in fear now whispered of the shadows that protected them. For the first time, Earth believed it could fight. On the day the Empire sent its ultimatum once more, the Black Fleet moved. They spread across the solar system, their black hulls gliding in silence, positioning themselves between Earth and the oncoming storm. Every colony, every outpost, every station watched as the shadows took their places. It was not just defense, it was a statement. Earth would not kneel. When the Empire's next message came, there was no reply from Earth's governments. Instead, the reply came in silence. The Black Fleet ignited their engines. Their shadows stretched across the void. The message was clear. Earth had heard the Empire, and Earth had answered. The Black Fleet was the answer. Across the galaxy, whispers spread faster than any ship could travel. Worlds ruled by fear began to dream. If Earth could resist, maybe they could too. If the Empire could bleed here, maybe it could bleed everywhere. The legend of the Black Fleet grew, carried in stories, carried in fear. Some said they were demons of the void. Others said they were humanity's final hope. The truth did not matter. What mattered was what came next. Above Earth, the Black Fleet drifted in silence, waiting for the storm to return. And when it did, the galaxy would learn one truth. Earth did not surrender. Earth answered.